So I think the important takeaway from my panel was understanding that the role of a central counterparty is to guarantee the financial performance on all of the options contracts traded in the U.S. markets as between clearing members. The OCC is able to do that by having robust admissions and continuing financial participation requirements, by having a very sophisticated the stands margining system, and by having a large $10.8 billion mutualized clearing fund. So the Renaissance Initiative got that term because we are really changing the entire way OCC operates. But most fundamentally, we are renovating our 20-year-old Encore technology, replacing a mainframe, batch-oriented system with a much more real-time and market-sensitive system for determining risk requirements, as well as day-to-day operational interactions between clearing members and the clearinghouse. Well, it'll give us a much more real-time ability to understand not just the impact of last night's positions on clearing member portfolios, but actually what they're doing in the marketplace today. So as volatility increases and changes throughout the day, we'll understand the impact directly on those clearing members, and that allows us to take the appropriate actions depending on what the market's doing. Well, I think it's very important to understand that we have a pretty crude methodology at the OCC now of determining who can participate in those global trading hours as a clearing member and what requirements they have to put up. And what the new system will do is give us much better real-time information throughout the extended trading hour period of time and allow us to enable much greater participation. Hopefully all 115 clearing members can participate as opposed to the limited subset. That should enable Cboe to be much more competitive in its extended trading hours in the same manner the futures exchanges in the US have become over time. Well, margin calculation at the OCC actually impacts the clearing members as well as, to an extent, the market maker participants. It doesn't necessarily impact end user clients. They have a different margin regime. But we're adding, through the interaction with our regulators as well as through our own risk committee, an additional sophistication looking at the liquidation cost in the event of a default of a clearing member, making the adjustments to various parameters on a day-to-day basis as opposed to on a month-to-month basis, and adding an adjustment for what we call wrong way risk into the actual analysis of client positions. So currently, as I mentioned, margin processing is very batch-oriented, and it requires very large files to be written and read among those large IBM mainframe DB2 databases. The new system will be event-driven rather than batch-oriented, and will use a much more sophisticated database technology to enable real-time analysis and a much more modular approach to the different components. So it should give us greater flexibility and the ability to support the trading and product innovations that the various exchanges bring to us in a much shorter period of time. Well, RMC is actually a well-established, fabulous conference that gets a number of both direct market participants and end-user clients involved. I've actually learned a lot myself from a number of the panels, particularly on various strategies of volatility trading. So it's very useful for me to stay up to date with current developments in the markets and how market participants are thinking about various products and their strategies, and also giving people an opportunity to understand what the CCP, we're kind of a under the covers, behind the scenes institution, but at the end of the day, very important to the financial integrity of the marketplace.